afternoon, everyone. This is Nithin Ramachandra from the NR Media, NR Hour Sports Show, back with another episode. Before we introduce our today's guest, we are live on iHeartRadio, Spotify, on all the podcast platforms. And fans, you already know about our speaker app. You please tune in there and put your questions in on my phone. If we have time, we'll answer some fan questions. But today's guest, her name is Michelle Moskau. She's a soccer player. She went to West Forsyth High School. She played soccer there, and she played with the Atlanta Fire Club United. So we'll get to all of that. And she just recently committed to Kentucky to play her collegiate career with Kentucky. So we'll get to all of that. And also, she partnered up with a company called Drink a Game, where Johnny Damon, a former baseball player, runs that drink, and I'm really excited for her to join the company, Drink a Game. So we'll talk about all about her journey, her career, how she got into soccer, and what she's most looking forward to playing with Kentucky, and how she committed to Kentucky. So Michelle Moskau, thanks for joining the show, and fans, please put your questions in on the speaker app. We'll answer as many questions as she can. But Michelle, thank you for joining. How are you and your family doing today?
We're good. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
Anytime. But first, before we get to your journey, I want to talk about, first of all, congratulations on the Kentucky commit and also the drinking game. So tell our fans, talk about those two before we get to your journey. How did you get in touch with drink a game, and also how did you what drew you to Kentucky also?
Yeah, so for soccer, there's rules on when you can start talking to coaches and when the recruiting window opens. So for soccer, that was June 15th going into your junior year, so during the summer. And then before that, you're allowed to reach out. They just can't reach out to you. So I never really had a quote unquote dream school. So while I was emailing all the coaches, inviting them out to games, I kind of just honestly went to the list of all D1 schools and just was like, okay, I could see myself going there. And Kentucky was actually never on my radar at all, which was kind of interesting how that worked out. But June 15th came around and the coach reached out and he was like, can we set up a call? And I was like, yeah, sure. And we talked, and kind of just from there, everything worked out how it was supposed to. I took about 3 months to finally commit. So I did explore all my options. I took a couple of my official visits to different schools, and then it just felt like the right fit for me.
Oh, yeah. So talk about when you were able to go on the campus before you committed to visit the campus.
Yeah. So we got 5 official visits allowed. I think they changed the rule now, but I took one of my officials for Kentucky. It was actually my first one. And so I got to campus. I think the visit was 3 days long. And the coaches met with the coaches, met some of the girls on the team. They showed me around. And I kind of just fell in love with it from there.
Oh, yeah. So tell our friends, talk about your partnership with Drink and Game, and that's obviously whoever doesn't know about that drink, look it up. Amazing what Johnny Damon's done with that company, and just talk about what's like partnering up with them, and what's it gonna be like going forward in the future with them.
Yeah, so it actually started out with just some connections. My dad, I think, knew an investor there, and he was like, this is a startup, and this is what the brand's about. Do you want to try it? And I was like, yeah. So they sent us a couple drinks to try, and I love them. I drink them every day. And I was like, this is really cool. And then learned about how their brand's all clean and all of that stuff, which is also really important to me, just being an athlete. And then from then on, I just got talking to some people there and got the ball rolling, and then ended up signing with them. So yeah, I'm really excited.
Well, yeah. So now let's get into your soccer journey, and when did you start playing soccer, and also who were some of the role models that you looked up to while growing up?
Yeah, so I started playing soccer when I was 3, so basically my whole life. And then I looked up to a lot of girls, on the national team at the time. I think the youngest was Sophia Smith. She was 17, and she had made I think it was the World Cup roster, which was super cool. And then obviously just older girls at the clubs I'd played at that I knew, my friends' older sisters and everything like that. And I just fell in love with it.
We are live with soccer player Michelle Moskau, Kentucky commit. We already have a fan question for you on my phone, and one of our fans wants to know what's going to be like wearing that blue and white jersey with Kentucky and being on the field for the first time. They want to know your reaction to that.
I'm really looking forward to it. Obviously, there's a lot of work to do when I get there. Nothing's guaranteed, so I have to work for that. But, if I get the opportunity, I'm super, super excited to represent the school and obviously everything that's led up to this moment. So it'll be really cool.
Yeah, so talk about your so you went to West Forsyth. So talk about that. What was that like going to West Forsyth High School and what did you learn over there as a player and were you able to learn multiple positions on the soccer field also?
Yeah, so I played varsity my freshman and sophomore year, and we actually ended up winning state both years back to back for the first time. And I think it was a school's history, which was super cool. Being so young and having the girls just welcome me to the team was really cool. And then, yeah, so I play center back in club, but high school is obviously a little bit different. So I got to play midfield, forward. I spent half of my sophomore season at forward, which was really cool. And yeah, we won 2 state championships, and I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Wow. Yes. Did you ever, so you started playing soccer at a young age, and did you ever think to yourself, you would be here right now, when you were younger, while you and then working up the ranks? Did you ever think to yourself you would be here right now?
Yeah, I mean, this was always the end goal. I'm really blessed and thankful of how it turned out, obviously, having all the resources I have, having the support system I have. But yeah, I mean, as I grew up, there was always the next goal, and this was eventually next on the list. So,
Wow. We have another fan question for you. One of our fans wants to know your top female soccer players from the past and now.
Abby Wambach was definitely one of them, which I actually got to meet her.
Oh,
I think when I was 9 or 10, which was really cool. So definitely her. I would say Carly Lloyd.
yeah.
All the classics.
So talk about the Atlanta Fire Club because that's interesting. If no one knows about that, talk about that and what was that experience like playing with Atlanta Fire?
Yeah, so I was at a club called UFA for the 10 years before that. And then I think it was COVID 2020.
Mm.
I just got the opportunity to go play for their top ECNL team. And I went and tried out with the coach. I really liked him. And then they have a really good, his name's Dom Martelli,
Yeah.
recruiting coordinator over there, that has a lot of connections. And with college being the next step, I just thought it was a good idea. And I'm so glad that I got to play there.
Yeah, so talk about your training and how often do you train and is it how many days do you train and what's it like just and also talk about the practices with your teammates and also the training too.
Yeah, so training for me has always looked like 2-a-days. I like to fit in with club practice. That's usually 4 days a week at night. And so I like to fit in extra stuff around it, obviously keeping up with my recovery. But yeah, so I do weight training, I do speed and agility, obviously the soccer aspect of it. And then I'll work with a coach one on one every now and then for some touch ups with just position based things or, shooting or just touches. But yeah, and then especially leading up to college, definitely adding in more of the college conditioning and things like that. But yeah, it's pretty consistent.
Yeah, so I want to go back to your high school career. You had a great career there, and also you made the all region first team. If I'm not mistaken. So talk about that experience and what did that mean to you when you got noticed to be all region first team, and talk about some of your best moments at West Forsyth.
Yeah, so that was really cool. I think I made it freshman and sophomore year, which being so young, that was really special. And then sophomore year, I scored the winning goal in the state
Mhm.
championship, which was, I mean, you can't, that
Yeah.
was probably the best moment. And then I ended up tearing my ACL. So I didn't play my junior or senior year due to injury. But the 2 years I did get, they fulfilled. I didn't need two more. It was so cool. But yeah, so earning those honors, I mean, it comes along with it and it's just a good thing to add to the resume.
Hey, scoring the game-winning goal is always good in any sport.
Yeah.
But speaking of that injury and man, that tearing an ACL and whatever sport you play is tough, and it depends on the player how they recover. But for you, what did you learn from those 2 years off and recovering and coming back, and what did you learn during that time period and not able to do anything but rehabbing and trying to come back to the player you were before?
Yeah, so I tore it in December of 2022, which was the end of club season. So I was rehabbing. I rehabbed for ended up being 14 months. But I honestly, it was such a blessing just to be able to have the break for my body, but then to only come back stronger. I started focusing more on lifting and things that I wasn't necessarily doing before, even though they were important. So yeah, it was definitely tough at times, but it was the biggest blessing I could have asked for. And just getting 2 years to like fully reset my body, relearn things, learn things better than before. It was really cool, and it ended up being a positive for sure.
So, and when it comes to that type of injuries, did you reach out to any other players from your sport, the same sport, or any player from different sports? Did you reach out to them, players that had the same injury as you, to get advice? Or
Yeah, so unfortunately, it's so common in girls soccer. I
yeah,
mean, there's so many of them, which is awful. But at the place I rehabbed at, I think there was probably 5 or 6 girls that were already rehabbing. Some were 9 months out, some were 2 months out of surgery, some came in and had surgery a week after I did. So just being in that environment definitely helped because we were all there doing the same thing, doing the same rehab, going through the same things, which was really cool and a sense of community almost. But yeah, unfortunately, it's so common. So there was a lot of girls that I did meet.
wow. So we have another fan question for you. They want to know your favorite food and favorite music.
Favorite food? Probably pasta.
Oh, pasta.
Yeah, definitely before game days or Chinese, I will say. I love a good fried rice. And then music, I honestly listen to every genre of music. Before games, more rap, I would say.
Rap. Well, who's your
Yeah,
who's your favorite artist?
probably Drake. I know it's basic, but
Hey, Kentucky Drake, right?
yeah, there you go.
But yeah. So talk about how. So obviously, the as you know, the Copa America games are going on right now. And have you been watching that? And how often do you like to watch the game and study how they play? Also, you still obviously study and see what you can do to improve your game. But how often do you watch soccer games? And have you been watching the Copa America games?
Yeah, that and the Euros because they're both going
Euro.
on right now. But yeah, I turn them on every time they're on TV. I love watching soccer. I love all of it. So yeah, and even watching it for fun, if I'm not necessarily, studying everything they do, we go to Atlanta United games and everything like that. But yeah, Copa's definitely been really fun to watch.
Yeah. So so for you, what's it going to be like? Obviously, when you start your career at Kentucky, and I'm sure you already spoke to your teammates and coaching staff, and what they will have, what are they going to have you doing your first year as a player at Kentucky?
That I'm not sure. There's been things that have been said, but obviously we don't all know till we get there. He is rebuilding the program, so there's a lot of us coming in. There's a lot of transfers, a lot of new faces. So definitely probably working on just the team camaraderie first for the month of preseason that we'll have, and then just getting into the groove of things, seeing how everything lays out, and competing in practice, and then that'll then lead into games. So.
We have another fan question. They want to know, what do you like to do during your off season?
I wouldn't really say there's an off season, but when I'm done with training and everything, I like to, be with friends, be outside, especially during the summer, go to the lake,
Yeah.
just relax and stuff like that.
Yeah, so talk about Kentucky fan base, because they have a passionate fan base, and when it comes to basketball, especially the basketball program and also football program. But talk about what's going to be like playing in front of the Kentucky fan base, because they're gonna show out for you guys also.
Yeah, I'm super excited. That was one of the things that when I went to Kentucky, and I was telling, people back home about it. I didn't know anything about Kentucky at all really before I went. And the main thing I heard was how big, like, everyone's diehard Kentucky fan. If you're a fan, you're diehard. So I'm really excited to be a part of that and to see, the support at both our games and other sporting events. I think it's really, really cool.
So we're big into family, and talk about your family because I'm sure they're proud of you, how hard you work, and where you're at now, and living your dream, and now starting your college career, and one step closer to that other goal you want to go to. But just talk about your family and how supportive they have been, and what's it like just to have them as your obviously support system, and then seeing you grow as a player.
Yeah, they're obviously my number one supporters. Just the sacrifices through traveling, throughout just all of club soccer, country, or sorry, not country, states that we've been to, and all of that stuff. And then I also have two other siblings. My sister, she's 16, plays travel softball and high school basketball. So she has her own thing going on. And then I have a brother that's 13 that just made Atlanta United's club team or farming system.
Oh wow.
So he has to go to the Netherlands, I think, in August.
That's
And
awesome.
so just all of us have our own thing going on, and they've always supported us, always let us do whatever training we need and anything like that. So I'm very, very lucky.
Man, that's amazing. Sports family right here. There you go.
Yeah.
Sports family. That's awesome. Speaking of the, so obviously in this generation is all about the youth, and what do you like seeing when you see like young kids not being on video games? I see a lot more kids now playing outside, playing sports, and working hard. So talk about what's it like seeing that the youth now focusing on bigger things, and what advice would you give to the youth, especially as they work on if they want to play a sport or something?
Yeah, advice I would give is just to stick with it. There's a lot of politics drama, especially at a younger age with, playing time and teammates and just being a kid. But I think the more you stick with it and the more that you fall in love with the sport itself, it makes everything else not a big deal. So I think that's really important. But yeah, it's good to see that so many little kids have so many big dreams of playing professionally or college level, whatever level it might be, and that we have the bars set so high, especially when you can go watch all these events in person, no matter what sport it is. I think it's really, really cool.
We have another fan question for you. They want to know, do you like warmer weather or cold weather?
I like warmer weather, but for soccer to play in, I prefer the cold.
Another fan question for you. They want to know, what who is the funniest teammate that you played with?
Funniest teammate I've played with. I don't know. There's been a lot. I've had met some of my best friends through being on the same team. And obviously, if I'm best friends with them, I think they're hilarious. So there's a couple, but yeah.
So I know you're from like the Atlanta, Georgia area. So talk about that because that's a great sports town. Also, you got the Braves, Falcons, and the Hawks and Georgia Bulldogs. So talk about being around from Georgia, Atlanta, Georgia, and just talk about your the upcomings there too.
Yeah, this is a really great area. Girls soccer here alone is so, so big. And all sports really having all the resources, training facilities. I mean, there's like six on one road, 5 minutes from me, which is crazy. And then US Soccer, I think they're moving their headquarters here, which is also super cool. We go down to Mercedes-Benz. We have Atlanta United tickets. And so we go there all the time. And I think it's just a great area. And I'm really lucky to be so close to so much because I know that that's not the case everywhere. But yeah, there's so much here for all sports.
Yeah. Speaking of U.S. soccer, is your goal to be on that U.S. team one day?
Yeah, that's the goal.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And what was your reaction when I'm just curious. I want to get your thoughts when Alex Morgan got left off on the roster. What was your reaction to that?
Both mixed emotions. I mean, obviously, age is, in the topic, but I think that the new coach, Emma, Hayes, I think is her last name.
Yeah.
I mean, her job is to come in and kind of rebuild where they left off with the unlucky World Cup result. So, I mean, she had to make some changes, and if that's what she thought was best, then I trust in that. So,
So all right, what would you tell your younger self now?
oh, that's a good question. Probably to just stick with it. I mean, I've always had this dream. I've always had the love for the game for so long that never once did I ever think about not wanting to do it anymore. So yeah, I mean, just trust in yourself and keep going.
We have another fan question for you here. One of our fans wants to know, um, winning. So winning those state championships in high school. So they want to know you bring the winning mentality already to Kentucky, and so for you, what's going to be like for you having the winning experience already coming to college? So they want to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, it sets the bar really high. I have a high expectation for everything, and why not go and win a national championship? It can be done. So that's kind of the standard that I have.
Yeah, so we're big into women in sports, and I have 12 people underneath my company, and five of them are females. And let's talk about the growth of women in sports, and especially for you being part of it. And what's it like seeing more women getting opportunities coaching male sports also even, but and getting more opportunities in sports.
Yeah, I think it's really cool. It's obviously long overdue, but the fact that it's happening now is also really special with me going into college. But I think the whole, social media has a part to play. But I mean, Caitlin Clark, all just women's basketball in general is getting so big right now, which again, long overdue. But same thing with the US national team. I mean, all sports across the board. I think that it's definitely earned. And I think more people are starting to realize like it's in women's sports too. It's not just in men's. And the amount of people that watch a women's game for the first time and they're like, wow, this is the real thing. And so I think it's just important that it keeps growing from here. And I know there's a lot to hold in the future.
Yeah, so tell our fans, what do you bring to the game of soccer, and what do you bring to Kentucky as a player?
Just mentality, I would say. And obviously my size, I'm like almost 6 feet tall. So that's like another thing that has always just been in my back pocket. But I would say my mentality over anything, just loving the game so much and at the end of the day wanting to win and just doing what it takes to get there. So
Yeah, so what do you like to, before we let you go, would you like to say anything to the Kentucky fans and tell them any message for the fans, and what's as you guys get ready for the season?
just go Big Blue Nation and women's soccer. We're ready. We're rebuilding. We're coming.
Yeah, so there you have it, Michelle Moskau, Kentucky commit. Man, amazing story, amazing journey, and Michelle, thank you for joining the show, and it was amazing. And by the way, what's it like? I want to before I let you go, what's it like sharing your stories on shows like this?
It's definitely something new. Just getting into the whole social media thing, but it's really cool. And I'm looking forward to what's to come.
Yeah, so thank you, Michelle, for coming on, and truly an honor. And like I said, congrats on the partnership at Drinking Game, and also going to Kentucky, and wishing you the best. And we'll obviously stay connected, and looking forward to seeing you play with Kentucky in your first game in the blue uniform. So keep up the great work, and thank you to our fans for tuning in and asking great questions. Also to Michelle. Well, you can follow, where can they find you on social media?
I'm on Instagram. It's michelle.moscow. And then there's a TikTok, but I don't really know how many people use that. So
Maybe you should start using TikTok for
I
your
know.
you do some team videos.
Yeah, some day in the life, some practice. Yeah, that would be fun.
Yeah, but thank you again. We'll stay connected, and good luck this season coming up. And really excited for your career, and looking forward to see where it goes. And I hope you get an opportunity with the U.S. team, or with the pros. So just keep it up, and you're a hard worker. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Anytime.
Bye bye.